Hello and good morning. Welcome to the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. So before we get started on chapter 1 of The Leader's Greatest Return by John Maxwell, we're going to go ahead and invite some people on to here that wanted to be invited.
Okie dokie. Web dogs. James Hendricks, Adrian. Chris Reed's really funny. Dang it.
There we go. Alrighty, so chapter 1. So we're going over identifying leaders, find them so you can develop them. So the first thing you need to know is what a good leader looks like. Some people have a hard time describing what a good leader actually looks like. So you need to identify what exactly that leader would look like, and then every person you bring onto the team, they're either going to be a good person. It's either going to make the team better or worse. But first you need to identify how exactly you're going to find these people. And unless you have a clear definition of exactly what you're looking for, you're not going to be able to find them. So there's 6 A's of identification that John talks about in this chapter. And the first one is assessment of needs. What is needed? What is your organization trying to do? Do you possess a clear target? And do you know what you're going after? So if you've never defined your target before or haven't revisited it lately, you need to do it right away, because before you start identifying leaders, you need to have a clear path of where you want to be. And you want to answer these questions. What is your vision? What is your mission? And who do you need on your team to accomplish your vision and mission? And what resources will you need to accomplish your vision and mission? So knowing what you need and who you're looking for is essential to the business, but unless you have that clear goal of this is where we're going to go, you're not going to be able to find those people. It's kind of like dating. Unless you know exactly the type of person that you would want to date, you're not going to be able to find them and be like, why the heck can't I find the right person? It's like, well, it's because you don't have it written out exactly what you want. Funny enough, I actually did this, and that's how I found Jeff. I had a list. I'm like, I'm tired of these other people. Like, why the heck isn't this working? This whole dating thing is starting to not be for me. And then I was like, you know what? I never actually figured out exactly what it is that I want. I'm going to write down a list and figure out who it is. And then he showed up. So, number 2, assets on hand. So who has leadership potential within the organization? If you already have a team, it's the best place to look for potential leaders to develop for a few reasons. Excuse me. They're a known quantity, so you can look at their performance and see what they can do and observe their strengths. The second one is they already fit into the culture, and when someone has already been working with the team, they already have created those relationships with the people around them. And then they have already established influence. So people who can't influence others, they can't lead. If they already have some degree of influence on the team, they already possess an asset that they will be able to use in the future to be able to get things done. So how do you measure influence? John talks about this in his book, 5 Levels of Leadership. Number 1 is position, where people follow you because of the title. Number 2, permission. People follow you because of the relationship. Number 3, protection. People follow you because of the results that you have produced. Number 4, people development. People follow you because of personal life change. And then number 5, pinnacle, where people follow because they respect from earned reputation. So those are the ways that people gain influence, and you got to be able to measure where exactly people are on that chart and see where you need to go from there, because some people have already actually started this, and depending on where they're at, their experience, they may be at different parts of this chart, but you can recognize it right away and then help them develop themselves to become a better leader. But you need to know this, and the 5 Levels of Leadership is a great book. It also is great to figure out where exactly you are at, because you're not going to be able to help develop people past what you have already been able to accomplish. So gather many to find one. You do have to go through a lot of people to be able to find one person who's really going to take off and want to do it, because sometimes there's people that they do have the potential to do something, but they just don't want to. And you can see that they do have the skills, and if they were just hone in on those skills, they can go so much farther. But people are only going to go as far as they desire to go. And if they don't have that desire to go further and do much better for themselves, you're not going to be able to make them. So it's just something that as leaders struggle with this, because you can see that this person can do it. Their potential is so much better than what they realize, and they just can't see it. And sometimes it just takes time, and other times they don't figure it out at all. But it all depends on what exactly it is that they want. So number 3, assets not on hand. So who has leadership potential outside of the organization? Like we've talked about, you have to find many to be able to find the one. And sometimes these people are not on your team, and you have to go out and recruit these people and figure out who's going to work best on the team. And even when recruiting, not everybody's going to be perfect. We like to work with quite a few people, unless somebody that we sit down with, or when we talk on the phone, where like if we have a conversation that is extremely negative. Sometimes there has been times where I've talked to people on the phone and I'm like, you know what? I don't think you're the right person for what we're trying to do. I do share our information, but there's just some people you don't want to work with. Because the moment you bring one person with a bad attitude into the team, you immediately wreck the attitude of everyone else in the room. It is so hard to bring everybody back up when somebody tears everybody back down. We want a group of people that are going to be able to lift each other up and keep the energy positive in the room. Sometimes we have to set rules at events, like, guys, we do need to keep the conversation positive in this room. Like, if we need to sit down and talk about stuff, if you're having a hard time with something at home, we can sit down for coffee another time elsewhere. But when we're here, we're talking about dreams, we're talking about goals, and we need to keep the conversation positive, because otherwise, if you sit, complain about your kids, complain about your spouse, complain about bills, oh my God, this happened, oh, this was going on the news, that is an extreme turnoff for people when people come into an organization, or if they're coming to see something for the first time. They're like, you know what? I don't think I really want to be around these people. I'm going to go somewhere else. And that happens a lot, and most people don't see themselves doing this. Like, we've been invited to multiple different open houses because we have a lot of different friends in network marketing, and this happens a lot. And a lot of times when we go to these things, Jeff and I like to have a list that we write down in a notebook of, there's 2 lists. What are the things that were done extremely well during this presentation and this open house, and what are some things that need some improved on? And a lot of times, one of the things that ends up standing out is the conversations that are in the room after everything's over or right in the beginning. And I'm like, you don't want to talk about just very negative stuff. Like, if people go through things, and when you create relationships with people, you are going to talk to people about some very personal stuff from time to time. But there's a time and a place to do it, and you want to make sure it's something that's not constantly happening. Because, shit happens. Like, every once in a while we need to talk about something, but we could talk about it not at the event. It's just not the place, and it's not the time. And you got to watch yourself and make sure that it's not happening all the time. Because people like to say, I'm a positive person, but what they talk about is not positive. And they try to talk about it in a positive, the negative in a positive way, but it still comes across as negative. And people try to almost trick people into thinking that, oh, well, I'm still being positive. I'm like, no, it's still negative. You're trying to change it a little bit, but it's not working. So you got to be conscious of that. So sometimes you need to bring in new people. And David Walker, CEO and co-founder of Tripment Real Estate Brokerage in New York City, he said, if there's one thing that keeps every founder up at night, it's hiring. And hiring is the best talent and massive and never-ending challenge. So while every company has a different culture, there are 4 questions that will help you identify if a candidate is a good culture fit. No matter where you are in the company, it falls on the culture spectrum. So there's 4 questions that you need to ask. And I actually really like these questions because we have a traditional business as well. And I was like, oh, this is good. I like this. So number 1, how did the culture at your last company empower or disempower you? So asking the first question helps you, this question helps you understand the culture candidates came from. Number 2, what were the characteristics of the best boss you've ever had? Which is funny, you actually asked me this at one point when I first met you, which I was like, oh, that's a different question. I've never been asked that. So asking that question helps you understand their view on leadership. And number 3, describe how you handle conflict, how you've handled conflict with one of your coworkers. So this helps you understand their relational skills and how well they're actually able to work with people, because every once in a while there are misunderstandings, and you need to be able to tell how they're going to handle a bad situation. Are they going to throw gasoline on it, or are they going to throw water on it? So that's a good question. And what kind of feedback do you expect to receive in this role, and how often do you expect to receive it? So this helps you understand expectations regarding feedback. Are they a person who is going to want that feedback, or do they want to be left alone? Some people want to be left alone. Like, I'm a person where I'll struggle but I want to figure it out first. And if I absolutely need the help, I will ask. But I'm not a person who likes constant notifications and like, hey, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? It drives me nuts. I'm like, please go away. And so this helps you gauge where exactly that person is. Is this somebody who wants you to contact them all the time, see where their numbers are? Hey, how many presentations did you get done today? Some people need that, other people don't. But this is going to help you gauge where exactly they are at. Because we don't want to annoy people. This is supposed to be a part-time thing, and nobody wants to be hounded. Most people get hounded at work. People do not want to be hounded in this business unless given permission. So the next one is number 4. And Jeff, since there are 6 of these, do you want to take number 4 and on?
No.
No?
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm going to keep going? Okay. So I'm just going to cover these 6. So number 4, attitude of the potential leaders. Are they willing? So it always starts with attitude. So bringing people on the team that other members will enjoy working with. Attitude is a choice, and at the heart of a good attitude is willingness, and willingness to learn, improve, serve, to think for others, add value, and to do the right thing and make make sure that they're going to service the team and make sure everybody's taken care of. And this comes in handy during events. Having a positive attitude attracts more people than having a negative attitude. And we were actually listening to something last night. They're like, it is hard to have a positive attitude all the time. He's like, before I die, I would like to have one day, 24 hours where I can think positively for 24 hours before I die. He's like, that's what I want to do. But it's something that's very hard to do, but you could train yourself to do these things. And once you become conscious of this is something I need to work on, you then start to catch yourself doing certain things. Like during the day, you'll be like, oh, okay, this is something I wanted to work on, but I messed up here and here without realizing it until after. But once you become conscious of it, you start to rethink things that you say and do before you say and do them, and it becomes a little bit easier. Number 5, the ability of the potential leaders, and are they able? So the more difficult the situation, the higher the leaders must be able to jump. So how do you know potential leaders are gifted in a particular area? They will be good at it. They display the excellence. They will have opportunities to use it, and it creates expansion, and they will draw other people to them, and that shows attraction, and they will enjoy doing it, and which brings fulfillment. So potential leaders with talent have the potential to lift the whole organization through excellence and expand the organization through the opportunity. Number 6. Accomplishments of potential leaders have they produced the results? So if they can produce the results for themselves, they have the potential to show other people how to succeed. They can't lead others to success if they have never led themselves there. You can't teach people how to recruit 100 people if you've never recruited 100 people yourself. And you can't say, I could show you how to make $1 million without actually making $1 million or even 6 figures. If you haven't got there yourself, you're not going to be able to influence the other people to be able to do it themselves. Do it either. So when you're dealing with people who are big builders, they really share these 5 characteristics. Builders love results. They like seeing the process and where they're heading. Builders are seldom satisfied. Once they hit a goal, they set a new one. It's just, they don't get comfortable. It's a constant need for doing better or getting something more. And builders are comfortable with uncertainty. Sometimes stuff just happens. Even when you're building, that you may have a plan, you'll execute the plan, and then you need to throw away the damn plan because something happened or something didn't go according to plan. They're comfortable with the fact of being uncomfortable and having to try new things and things a little bit outside of their range. And that's something that they've accepted in business. It's just something that you have to get comfortable with doing and being flexible enough to handle the situation. Builders are impatient. There are 2 kinds of progress. There are things that you have to work for and the things that you have to wait for. And what's funny is that builders excel in progress that comes from working. However, they see patience as a minor form of despair, even though it's disguised as virtue. Everybody's heard that patience is a virtue. Unfortunately, not many of us have that. And when you're a builder, I notice a lot of them tend to have less patience, and it's something that they have to learn to have because they want the results so quickly. And builders are contagious. When you're striving for something on your team or you're striving for a goal, builders are extremely passionate about what they're trying to go do, and that passion ends up attracting other people, because once people start seeing the numbers, then people are like, what the heck is this person doing? And people want to become a part of that, or they want to see what you're doing. So the more you start building the more people you're going to attract, because people start to see all this activity and they're like, what the heck is this person doing? So no team can win without without great players. So the only way you're going to have a great team is to identify and find the right players. So this is where having the exact vision and mission purpose for your team comes into play. If you don't define what exactly it is that your team is about and what you're trying to accomplish, you're not going to be able to lead people, because it's just like, just get in so you can make money. That's not enough of a reason. There are so many other things that make money out there. You got to have an exact definition of what the team is about and what you're trying to strive and achieve and where you're going to go. And you need to set the path of like, this is how we're going to get there. Because if you don't set that path, people won't do anything. They're like, okay, I'm here, now what? Okay, well, we're just going to sit here. That doesn't work. Like, people don't move unless you give them, because most people don't plan a day out, and most people don't plan for weeks out or months out, and people don't even plan the year. People are not trained to look past to tomorrow. You need to teach them to look further out, so that way they're able to grow, and that's what setting these goals is about. So with that, that's what I really got from this chapter. Jeff, what did you get from this?
Basically, it made me rethink everything, on recruiting again. Because being able to identify who exactly you're looking for, I was taught find an avatar. Who is the avatar that you're looking for? Who do you want on your team? And some of the questions that he asked were just really good, under the assessment of needs. Do you possess a clear target? Do you know what you're going after? And then he goes into what she was talking about. What is your vision? What is your mission? I added, what is your purpose? Who do you need on your team to accomplish those? What resources do you need? You can't be haphazard at selecting people. And he just kind of goes into, if you select all the wrong people, it's just not going to work. Other questions. Are they known for... They're known for quantity. They're also fit for the culture. So pretty much everybody that John interviewed said you're going to have to go through the numbers. You're going to have to go through a lot of people. You're going to bring a lot of people on before you find the ones that can do it and the ones that can lead. So there's a balance between the skill and the heart. The skill is I can teach you what to do. The heart is you want to do it even when no one's watching. How do you measure influence? Talked about that. There was a great story that he told about Andrew Carnegie. And Andrew Carnegie was able to basically find 43 millionaires. And they kind of asked him, they're like, how did you find 43 millionaires? He goes, well, I didn't find 43 millionaires. I found 43 people, and I taught them how to become millionaires because they were the ones who were willing. But you have to understand, Carnegie recruited thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And in doing that, you kind of sift through one of 1,000 or one of 10,000 people. If you look at network marketing, typically the people who have 10,000 people on their team plus that kind of built right, it's somewhere around 10,000 to 20,000 people. You can get to those bigger incomes. Depending on the product line and things like that. I was running the numbers. It's one out of every, if you look at the total numbers of people who earn over 6 figures or a month, like close to 6 figures a month, about 80,000. I think I ranged it off of $80,000. It's one out of every 275,000 people. One out of every 275,000 people in direct sales makes $1 million or more. Because some of them make $1 million a month. There's a couple guys that have made $1 million a week inside of direct sales. So it's possible to do in the industry. You say, but those numbers are bad. Well, great. Compare that to how many people make $1 million playing basketball, or how many people make $1 million playing baseball or softball or anything else. I mean, the numbers are the numbers, right? Those are the total number of people who get in the industry. So if you want to be one of those people, it's possible, but just know the numbers. I never know who the next leader will be or where they'll come from within the organization. So you're always looking to find them. Look for people's performance level. So he talks about, finding people who have performed well at something else. What if you're hiring people right out of school? It's funny, even people who are coming out of school, I mean, I've talked to 18, 19, 20-year-olds that some of them had worked 3 jobs and some of them had worked no job. You know, some of them have been involved in 15 different activities. We just recently brought a person onto the studio. She's like, well, you know, I ran track, and then I ran track in state, and then, you know, or track in college. We won state. We then competed. I was supposed to go on, you know, to the professional world, but it didn't work out for her, you know, necessarily. But anybody that's going to be an athlete at that level has a certain level of discipline instantly. So I realized you can get this discipline from several different things. Some people get it from the military. Some people get it from home. Some people get it from, you know, athletics. But usually there's people that are there, mentors that are there that kind of push people in those ways. A, you have to have the talent. B, you have to have the rest of the drive. I'm successful today because I had a friend who believed in me, and I didn't have the heart to let him down. Abraham Lincoln said that, and it's kind of like you live up to the expectations. Do you have a way to farm talent in your organization and to develop people on your team? So the first thing is do you know what to do to get them in? Do you know who you're looking for? Do you know what to do to get them in the business, meaning recruit them? Second thing is once you bring them on, do you know what to do with them? So it's kind of a double-edged sword. And even if you know what to do with them, do you have an ongoing program that helps them succeed? And then he goes into the 4 questions, you know, about culture. Brandy covered that. Attitude. Attitude is the choice, and at the heart of good. Attitude is willingness to learn, to improve, to serve, to think of others. Leadership skill may come from the head, but its leadership attitude comes from the heart. 2 things required, empathy and integrity. He goes, it gives the follower a sense that their interests are being looked after and creates a positive energy. So I think that one's really good. That's Simon Sinek says it differently. He goes, a leader's greatest job is to make the followers feel safe, or the team. A leader's greatest job is to make the followers feel safe. So we were listening to Art Williams last night. She mentioned, you know, about having, you know, a good attitude and not being negative. He said, you know, your job is to constantly tell the team and the people around you that it's the little things. It's the little things that are going to make the biggest difference in the end. He goes, lots of people get into the industry, but there's a very few people who are willing to give it all. There's very few people who are willing to stay after the bell rings. There are very few people who are willing to train on the Sundays. There are very few people who are willing to make the extra call and do the extra appointment. He goes, but it's those little things that add up. It's those little things that get you across the line. It's those little things that help you win. So just teaching people that it is the little things. That's actually a principle from Think and Grow Rich. Art Williams did not think of that, I'm guessing. And as he said, you know, he's like, I'm a dumb high school football coach. I'm a dumb high school football coach that put together 2.5 million people. Why was he able to do that? He learned the principles. He goes, I learned most of the principles in football. He goes, and then I just translated them into the business world and took them into the business world. He goes, because nobody wants a boss, but everybody wants a coach. People are looking for leadership. They're not looking for a lecture. Are they talented? Be good. What have they achieved? Do they meet the expectations? Do they deliver? Do they have potential to help others succeed? It says good leaders come in all shapes and sizes. And then he talks about the 4 characteristics. We talked about that. There was a great story that he told about a lady who had 1,000 people on a call. So John was doing this leadership call, and she ended up getting 1,000 people on this call. And he's like, man, 1,000 people, that's amazing. She goes, yeah, but we have 38 million people in the country. So I'm not impressed yet. And he's like, those are the kind of people you're looking for. They're just not willing to accept average. They're just not willing. They're always thinking bigger. They're always thinking building bigger. And that's, you know, builders are contagious. So that's what we got. That's chapter 1. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this and paste it into the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. So if you want these notes, the notes that we go through, we take notes. I take notes every day on every chapter of every book that we go through. And originally I was trying to email them, and the system that I was using sucks. It just doesn't work. I don't know what's going on. I tried to set it up so it's an autoresponder. I put everyone in, and I ended up spending more time on the phone with people going, I didn't get an email. I didn't get this. The email system, I mean, I hate to say it, the email system is dead. It's dead as a doornail. You know, you get 52,000 messages. None of them you read. You delete every single one. Email is dead. If that's the way you're contacting people, unfortunately, it's dead. It's dying. You'd probably do better printing it and mailing it to them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this and post it into the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show group. There's a group online that you can get those. So hopefully those come through clear. A bunch of people have already clicked on them, so I know it's kind of working already. Select all. And what else? Tomorrow, chapter 2.
Chapter 2, and if you guys would like to go follow us on YouTube, each one of these videos is going to be uploaded there, so that way if you'd like to go back to them and rewatch them, you're more than welcome to. Also, tomorrow is Wednesday, so Bess will actually be going over chapter 2 tomorrow, so be sure to click on Bess McCarty's page, and she's going to be going over chapter 2, and I believe that's it. We will see you, well, you will see Bess tomorrow, and you will see us on Thursday. So with that, we're going to close out of here, and we will see you then.